Welcome to the Professor Slots Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. John Friedel. Although I have a PhD, please call me John. I help slots enthusiasts improve their gambling performance with next-level tactics and strategies. Want to accelerate your slots journey? Be more profitable and understand casinos better to take advantage of them? I have over a decade of experience working with slots enthusiasts just like you, so you're in the right place. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over what to do after winning big to keep it, and had a wonderful conversation with Joe the pilot. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Today's episode number 165 includes my conversation with Jesse about some of the ins and outs of online slots with comparisons and contrasts to brick-and-mortar casinos. Improve your slots play with my 30 days to play slots smarter and win. You'll get lifetime access, a free copy of my book, Learning to Win, and spreadsheet templates for slots record keeping, for income tax preparation purposes, and gameplay analysis. Plus 1 month free membership to my Slots Enthusiast Growth Network, where you'll get community support and accountability. 30 days to play slots smarter and win is discounted at 50% off for a $100 savings. Be sure to use that discount before it goes away. Visit professorslots.com/30 days to learn more about this well-received course, including a full description of its contents as well as testimonials. For your convenience, that website link is in the episode description. Next up is my conversation with Jesse. Be warned that we jump right into the conversation before barely saying hello to each other, but we get to that. I'll talk to you afterwards, so stick around. In the meantime, enjoy.
Sure, yeah. So I began my slots or gambling journey, whatever you want to call it, on a game called RuneScape, right? Pretty talented sticker. Sorry, my dog is fussing. And it just naturally led into like real gambling. And so I still play it for fun, the game, but it's not a way to earn money or a hobby like it was at first, And I did an interview with a channel called Gambler Key. They have a really popular Ukrainian channel. Hopefully they're still doing good
and all that implies.
Right. So they started an English channel, and this was before the whole political stuff going on there. And I think I was the second person I did an interview with. And it was, I was nervous as heck because you could tell, right? But even when I was starting my slot stuff and I was looking around for information on how to get an edge or like any sort of strategies there are to it, at the end of the day, it just boils down to luck, right? But there is a lot of stuff I've noticed with playing for so long that slots are like screaming at you to do either a bigger bet or get the heck out of there. And that's how I came across your channel. And I would just watch your videos at first. I didn't like comment or anything. I didn't really know much about the YouTube community at the time. And I think it was in August that I reached out to you and asked if you were ever doing interviews. I just joined your slots class, your course, I'm sorry. And I started trying some of the things that you were suggesting in them, but I had already seen through your channel, some of the strategies that you deploy, and they're pretty effective actually. And I was quite surprised that other people aren't knowing about these strategies or using them. And so, yeah.
Yes, it's an interesting dynamic with what's going on. There's a lot, I'm trying to understand those who aren't fans, in part because I'm trying to turn them into fans. And, there's so many people who, go to Las Vegas, come home from Las Vegas, find my notes on Las Vegas, and they're just like, oh, how did that happen? What I'm trying to do is reach out to those groups, and I'm beginning to sort of get my hands around what's going on, which is they think that slot machines are fully random, totally random.
No way.
And I'm like, and they don't believe that slot machines are random because they use the word fully or truly or entirely with the word random. Yeah, and it's like, so it's a special kind of random? Because I was thinking it was just the ordinary kind of random where it's set to a limit and there's things they can do and all of that. So, the kind of randomness that was taught in all 8, 9, 10 of my statistics courses, where it's not random.
I guess it depends on the data set, right?
Yeah. It's just like you look at the trends for 25 years and what's one that I did recently? Which state was that? Is it Delaware or something? And it was just, they choose how to open in 1996 and what to do, and then they drop to the lowest ever, since then, or that was the highest. Yeah, it's all planned, and then while still being what I would call random. And apparently you had to have STEM or something to be able to understand statistics. I have a joke that I used on Facebook. It was, everybody hates math until that paycheck looks a little funny.
That's a good one.
Well, I didn't invent it. I did modify it until I saw that, and then I actually posted, everybody hates math until that hand pay looks a little funny. And my dog is white too. I see you have a dog there.
He's a miniature poodle, and he is a handful.
I'm sure mine is a puppy. Do I really need to go on?
Yeah. He's a puppy too. So
there you go. That's the handful part. Mine is pushing 75 pounds. So at least you don't have to worry about that.
I was thinking about adopting a bigger dog, but then I just moved from a studio apartment into a house. So I hadn't planned on doing that, but I was like, well, there's already not enough room. So
Sure. Congratulations on getting a puppy. How long have you had him?
I've had him since January 20th, I think.
Okay. So this year, a few
3
months. Yep. I remember when I was a 3-monther. Right now I'm a 8-monther.
Yeah.
I had him for 8 months, and I'm starting to breathe at night and stuff. So,
he was a terror at night too at first.
Yep. Mine. I did some things right, and so less of that. Also, I raised him from being a puppy, from getting him from a breeder. I haven't talked much about Isaac to my podcast listeners, so maybe they're interested. But he is, came from a breeder because I had heard. I went to my vet for my cats, and I asked about adopting from a shelter for a dog, maybe even an adult dog, and they said you don't know what you're going to get. Only they didn't say you don't know what you're going to get. They said you don't know what you're going to get, and that's a different connotation.
There's also a few things about the breeders that have pluses, is that they track genetic diseases too with their bloodlines, and if there is something wrong, they can either breed them out or notify people. So it's got its advantages, but it's expensive.
Yes. If I had any idea of how the later expenses, how much all that was going to cost, well, basically I could have asked anyone and they would have told me. So that's on me. First dog, first puppy, both. And just thought I'd complicate my life. But getting away from Isaac, what's your dog's name?
Lucky.
I had a dog when I was growing up. His name was Lucky.
Well, it's not he's lucky, it's I'm lucky.
Okay. Interesting. My dog is named after Isaac Newton. Who knew statistics?
Right. I mean, you could be statistically unlucky too, I guess.
Well, you may be a bit young for this, just looking at you. I hate to even say it, but there was a show called Hee Haw. And
my mom watched it.
I believe it might be copyrighted, so I won't say that little song about if it weren't for bad luck. I'd have none.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So back to, welcome to the show. And you're Jay or Jesse, but I'll try to remember to call you one of those two. Welcome.
Jesse's fine.
Okay. Welcome to the show. And so how long have you been, you talked a bit about, we kind of jumped into the middle of the conversation. And so it helps if we know if my podcast listener knows what state you're in or even what state you gamble in.
Well, I've gambled in California, Nevada, and I'm moving to Ohio. I haven't gambled there yet, but I will be eventually soon, I'm sure. Mostly I do online gambling, which is different, but still very similar.
Sure. The games the games available online can be very similar because, popular is popular. If you're talking about online for money gambling versus online for not for money, where you can't win any money, that is of course two different things. There's definitely a feeling that comes over you when you've got skin in the game. When you're spending money versus, where you might win it back and do something. On the other hand, if it's you just pay to play and it's gone, and those are two different feelings. In fact, the research that I've done has shown that games that are successful for pay to play, social games, aren't the games that people like for for online gambling for real money. That casinos, slot manufacturers have made the game for an online version for social games, and it wasn't nearly as popular as it was in the casinos. And I thought that was an interesting perspective. So sure, while they have similar games, if it's for money gambling, it might be very similar to what the reaction is to in casinos, but social gaming is not. They were the reports I was reading was that slot manufacturers who also make these internet games were just shocked to see that their Facebook game didn't do it. And we're talking millions in investment dollars to betting on that it would work.
Yeah. A big reason why I like the online gambling too, and you mentioned it earlier about having a degree in statistics, is
I don't have a degree in statistics.
Sorry.
It's just every degree required me to get all the statistics. And I tried to explain that I'd had it, but they were like, we need it for this one too. So I had it a lot. A little detail that outlines the nightmare.
Yeah. And I've taken statistics too, so I fully understand the pain that you went through. But you can actually download like your bet history and review it and see exactly how you performed in a certain game or a certain series of bets. And I know it doesn't matter because everything is theoretical in terms of RTP. I don't know if you discussed that much, but
RTP I understand that there is a personal payout. That each machine, let's say at a casino, has its payout, which is set. But your combination of which of those casino games you play results in your return to player. And that allows for you to, have a better than average return.
Yes. And there's a big wave of, because I'm sure, as you know, there are lots of pop-up scam sites. Buyer beware. Somebody
just emailed me about one, and you can go to not to. I haven't really gone into this too much, but I guess this is maybe the theme of this interview. There are websites in the UK who have taken it as their job, business internet owners who have taken it as their job to investigate, to study, to look at each of these providers and rank them versus the reputation and how well they are set up. And I found one that wasn't on any of those, not even on the bottom of the list, and it's pages long. Someone just emailed me about and was having questions, and you read the terms and conditions. And the conditions in this particular one, I won't say which one for legal reasons, but they came back as, the terms and conditions said not prohibited to use this site, and it's on your responsibility, but prohibited on using this site in Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Nevada. And you might read that and go, so what? Well, those are the states that have strict gaming regulations for online gaming. So this company obviously didn't match the requirements of those gaming regs, and so have to legally say, don't use us in these states. They don't have to explain why not, but right there is just like big old red flag. And this is the sort of expertise, I talk about casino slots, and one area that would be great to get into eventually is to point out how you might use the techniques, the gameplay analysis, that everything is recorded, which is impossible to do in casinos unless you record, and even then it takes as much time to figure out how to record all that in a usable way as much as it took to gamble. So, thousands of bets, and what was the real combinations that came out of that, and how much did you win, how much did you lose, going from machine to machine to machine. And all that becomes very easy online.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing about online too is there's a relatively newer thing called Provably Fair. I'm not sure. Have you heard of it? Provably Fair games?
That sounds like a marketing term. It could mean several things.
Provably Fair is like a hashing. It's an algorithm done with a one-way hashing function.
Okay.
So, for instance, like with a password, it's stored with a hash and a salt normally, and that way it's unreadable to anybody if it were ever compromised. So it's kind of the same way. When the bet is placed, there's a server-side seed and a player seed, and it's ran through whatever hashing algorithm that this game uses. And the result is a random number. And based on that random number is what the slot machine reels do, I guess, is how it works.
That's that last little bit is exactly where all the stuff comes from for casino games.
Yeah.
Yeah, the part where you said, I don't know how that works.
Well,
yeah, there is there is a random number I'm pointing out that there was a pause right there, and that is actually where everything happens in slot machines and casinos. And so, yes, there is a random number generator in casinos in the online games. And one of the points I make is, what's it choosing from? It's not choosing from every possible outcome in the machine.
Right. It's a number.
Right. Well. Anyway, that's a separate article. I've talked about with that. We can get into that if you want to. I mostly want to let you talk. I don't call these interviews. I call these conversations because I wouldn't know an interview if it hit me in the face. But sometimes people say stuff and I'm like, actually, I know a little bit about that. Let me explain. And I thought, let's not get into that. But that little bit right there is where you want to look. And all the rest of it is just, they're not hackable.
Yeah. And so the thing about Provably
You can do it deliberately, but not hackable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the great thing about Provably Fair is, I was just saying about
marketing
the scam
term,
site.
not actually what's happening. Marketing term.
Well, marketing term, air quotes, guys. You can verify your bets and the results with this system. to basically make sure you weren't scammed, I guess. But I've seen just a lot of stories. If you dig on the internet, I'm sure you will find just story after story of how games have been rigged and
bad characters out there. Yeah.
Bad characters.
Yeah. If they've come up with a fair method, I'm sorry to say, if it is locked down to my satisfaction, and right now we're just talking about it, and if they made it fair, I actually don't like it even more because then I don't have an advantage.
Yeah.
And so why would I go to online slots? Either they will cheat me or they'll be fair. I like them to try to manipulate me so I can manipulate them back. Yeah. That's my sweet spot.
That's interesting angle on the manipulation part. I had never actually thought of it that way, but
they're doing obvious things in which there is a counter strategy. I don't have strategies. I have counter strategies to their strategy to manipulate you. And that's what I want. I want them to do that. This weekend I had, this is being recorded well before it's going to be posted as a podcast, probably a month or more. But recently I had a live stream which talked about the future of slots. And wouldn't it be great if all slot machines in all casinos were made to be fair? Mm-hmm. Is that my end goal? Yeah. Maybe. We'll see how it goes.
But there's just a certain level of satisfaction being able to verify the results of each round that you played a game, right?
Oh, sure. And when those numbers are under 100%, that's when my satisfaction goes away.
Right. And I've read stories too about people in their bet archives, missing nonces, if you know what a nonce is.
Sure.
Yeah, so missing nonces, and they just can't seem to find out where this bet went. And so in theory, they're saying like they must have scammed me for this bet because I can't verify the results.
That is always the answer. That's always the answer. I use my player card and man, did they scam me. Nobody ever says I used my player's card and wow, I just won. All the time. Right. Nobody.
And I went to Vegas last August, just because I wanted the experience to go to Vegas, and I had a wonderful time, but I just lost so much money.
You said last month?
Last August. Yeah.
Oh, last August. August is a downtime. There's seasons, and this is not random behavior because it's every year. If it happens every year, it's not random behavior. But since 1973, maybe. Since around Thanksgiving through the end of the year is good. The end of the year versus the first of the year is the big switch. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. If you go, you would see it right about now. And there's economic reasons for this, but right about now, April, which is when I'm talking, mid-April, early April, is when it is an up season. But then will it end in May or first of June? Every year it's a little bit different, depending on economic forecasts and weather and crowds and what they hope to get there. But then, drop for the 4th of July and basically a month before and after. So that includes August. Sure it does. Sure it does. It's the hottest weather in Las Vegas. Right. And so the numbers are down. So that's when they need to kind of smooth out their returns. It's the economic forecast is straightforward. And if if they're allowed to do this, then they will do it. In Nevada, they have a law against it's 14.040 paragraph 5. I think it's on page 9 of the Nevada Revised Code. And if you read it, it says that table games, electronic games based on table games must have the probabilities of that game on the table game. Mm-hmm. which means video poker is the same as poker without the video, and Keno and bingo, because they have a law, which I can't find in any other state. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that wouldn't change, but then, they can adjust the limits and how do you get into a table and all of that. So
the limits. And I stayed at the Aria, which is a pretty high-end resort if you've ever been to Vegas. And I did not plan on bankroll management ahead enough because the limits are pretty high by my standards even, and I'm not exactly a high roller by any means. But for instance, blackjack and baccarat were $100 minimums unless it was like 6 a.m.
So to help my podcast listener, you've taken my course?
Some lessons, not the whole course, no.
Okay. It would perhaps behoove you to do the bankroll management section.
Yes. Yes. And I usually do well with bankroll management. However, I did not plan ahead this time and thinking that $5,000 was going to be plenty for my 3 days in Vegas.
I'd blown $4,000 in Las Vegas. It was 8 different $500 spent at 8 different high limit rooms on the Las Vegas Strip casinos. And I had won it the day before my trip for going on the 4th of July. And, I tell myself, if I can learn the lesson that I paid for, then that was not wasted money. If I don't learn the lesson I paid for, then maybe I'll have to pay it again. And I would really rather not do that. So what would you do differently? Just try to help the podcast listener.
Well, before I decide to actually just drive out and over to Vegas just on a whim.
You're in California? That was one of the...
I was at the time, yeah.
Okay.
Research your resort or casino that you plan to go to, or casinos, and look at the different games, the possible payouts.
You're talking about table games?
Any games, whether they are slots or table games, whatever you're...
So you're an advocate of the game theme matters?
Well, it's not that it matters, but maybe you have a preference.
Okay. I don't see how that has to do with winnings. I can see your statement applying to table games very much.
Check the limits if you are doing table games, because, that was my mistake, number one. And make sure that you have enough in your budget for each day that you're going to stay there to enjoy the time, because...
Yeah, basic bankroll management. It sounds like you got in trouble with table games. Table game limits.
And my first slot that I got a bonus on, I had got into it within 2 spins, and it was a $40 spin, which is a really huge bonus to spin into, and it paid me $5.
A lot of people are complaining about that, which
that's ridiculous.
It is outrageous, and what I have sort of figured out with that is kind of a miscommunication. I can't believe the miscommunication, but it's a miscommunication. Survey says, if the slot manufacturers or casinos put out the survey, what do you want in your slot machines? All kinds of questions in these surveys that go out to card holders, and people said, I want bonus rounds. Mm-hmm. Oh, they say, and they hand this data off to slot manufacturers, and they say, oh, yeah, we can give you bonus rounds. Sure, no problem. You didn't say money. You just said, I hope you found the bonus round entertaining. If you meant money, you would have said. And that's how we got to this point of, what a fantastic number of bonus rounds you got with a $40 bet. Wonderful. And that doesn't have to be connected to how much you might have made. $8, it would be like, what is that? That's five. It's like making $1 bet, getting how many bonus rounds you had, 30, 40, whatever, and and on that $1 bet, you made 20 cents with all those bonus rounds. That's the equivalent amount. And we asked for it. And I feel like slot manufacturers are just like, you can't be that stupid.
That they are like, I can't believe we got them on this scale.
Yeah, we will give them what they want, no problem. But then it's you can see it's like a race car being driven by somebody who doesn't know how to drive a race car. It's like, I want to do donuts. You have like NASCAR drivers and they won the race. And so they're supposed to spin out on one part of the track, right? They're supposed to do donuts and all the smoke rising. And you know what? They just don't know how to do that. And it's a special skill. So casinos seem to have sophisticated systems, but then the operator can be, not know what they're doing. And I see some harm being done in some Oklahoma casinos. I see some harm being done in isolated casinos where they're just like, well, there are always people that'll come in. And then they get a problem after a couple of months of just making everything tight and coming back. And they're like, well, we got rid of some of our whales. We got rid of, this is starting to hurt. Had no idea. And so this is the sort of behavior that, that I see. So anything else you want to talk about in terms of slots?
So I had watched several of your videos at this point, right? And you had especially recommended the 3 real slots, Nevada games, right?
Did I?
I am pretty sure you did recommend the 3 real slots, I believe. I specifically remember that you had mentioned these.
Well, recommending and mentioning, I talk about my experiences.
Mm-hmm. So I tried several of these. I could not get a decent pay line or any bonuses on them.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that I don't recommend a game theme because I don't believe in game themes. That's player appeal. And that's happiness playing something that you've played before.
Right.
And so I have a fondness for Wheel of Fortune because I have fond memories. And at a casino where those were set up to win. And I hope that I didn't choose. Some of my earlier videos, I was surprised at some of the comments where people were kind of took it a way that I didn't mention. And I'm not a writer, so I've gotten much better at being clearer. I hope that you didn't lose money following a memory of my winning on these slot machines, and maybe implying somehow that you would win, and that certainly was not my intention.
That's not what I meant to convey either. I just thought that you had said you not recommended, but had played them before. And
yeah, there's a quick connection there where people are like, well, I'm looking for the game. I'm looking for a game that wins. And so he mentioned this game, so I will go and I'm like, whoa, but what connection is that?
And I was looking for these games in, areas that you tell people to look in. And so I just tried them, because I'm always looking for something new to try anyways. And I didn't know. I didn't have any luck though, so it goes.
Okay. So if you're, just to pick that apart a little bit, if you're in Nevada, if you're on the Las Vegas Strip or downtown or wherever, when you're in a particular casino, you do have to check. I mean, when you capture the idea, when you understand the idea that my strategies are counter strategies to what the casino is trying to do to make themselves money and more money, and manipulate people, and even trying to give them some satisfaction with an early win. Whatever this manipulation is that they're applying to you, that is what you counter strategy with, which is what I offer. So if you went to a particular casino, this is kind of like you're talking about online games and seeing all the different bets that you made and the results of them. This is something along those lines. If you go to a particular casino and you check to see if the casino environment works, or location, or the 5-pull method, if these individual strategies work, you have to keep track of what casino you tried them at, because it doesn't mean the next casino, to it would work, even if it's by the same owner. It's kind of like going to downtown Cincinnati, and then there's a casino 7 miles outside of town, and then there's one 30 miles up I-75, and thinking what works at one will work at all. Mm-hmm. And just because you can walk without going outside from one casino to the next in Las Vegas, it is designed. These are designed to be casino by casino. This is part of what I'm trying to get across to the random number generator, truly only folks, is, when you find a strategy to work, it was because the casino had the manipulation part of that to be taken advantage of.
Yeah, and I think I ended up going to tables because I just was getting crushed on slots everywhere.
Yeah, hey, good decision.
Yeah, and so that's when I found out about the $100 minimum and my bad bankroll management, right?
Well, and you did say August, which is basically a bad time to go, and and I mean, it's your money, but every August is like that. Every January and February, and maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks of March, it might vary by a week each year, depending on how things are going. I think that the good times we're seeing in April in Las Vegas will extend until maybe, first week of May, last week of May. When it all ends, it all ends, and so you watch for that. I nothing you can do when it's the wrong time.
And I wasn't worried about losing this money. I wasn't playing, which, disclaimer, do not gamble with money you can't afford to lose. So I had already planned to.
You read that lesson, or did you know that already?
I knew that already.
Yeah. Not surprised.
My dad is a gambler, and he kind of went through, a time where it was excessive. So I already know,
Good for you.
Yeah. So I had like $500 or $600 left of my bankroll, and I'm on a penny machine, trying the 5-pull again. I just max bet it. It was $8, and they gave me a jackpot for $1,200, and I had to fill out the form. They gave me the cash, and I'm like, I got to pay taxes on this. I'm down $5,000. What the heck?
You were down $5,000 from the table games.
Well, from the whole trip.
Sure, from the table games. But I don't know how much of that was from. Anyway, I'm trying to give slots a boost, but maybe I'm being a little bit too obvious. Congratulations on the $1,200 hand pay. Good for you. You record your losses, and you won't have to. You get those taxes back because you spent more than you won.
Yeah. But it was just strange to me that they would even threaten to take taxes out of my jackpot that I was in loss for anyways. But yeah.
Okay. So they don't have state income taxes in Nevada.
Yeah, they don't. No,
and so you're talking about federal.
Yeah. Yes, it was a federal form you get when $1,200 or more jackpot round.
Are they making federal income taxes mandatory?
No, it was the gaming tax or whatever for the bonus. I don't know what the form is because I only got one of them.
Not federal tax, but a gaming tax.
I think so, yeah.
Missouri has a fee. It's a non-refundable fee. Pause.
Okay. I'm sorry, one second. Can you just for a moment?
Yeah, I just had to make a mark.
Thank you. Sorry, my dog was acting a little strange. I think he was just tired.
What I wanted to ask you was, what did you learn from me from the course, which you are a participant, that helped you? You have what happened before you met me, and then you have my content. It sounds like maybe you got more from my videos, less from my homework.
I did. And it's because I didn't subscribe to your course until after the Vegas trip. But I had seen a lot of your videos on YouTube. I don't think I was aware of the course until that's when I emailed you and told you about my trip. And you told me about your course. And that's when I bought it.
Okay. And just so the podcast listener knows, it's John at ProfessorSlots.com. You can remember that John is spelled Jon, or because I'm not an idiot, I also have an email address, JOHN, which is not me, but if you too want to ask me a question, John at ProfessorSlots.com.
There are lots of scammers out there, guys. Be very careful.
Yes, it's amazing the market. It's amazing the industry of trying to explain slots. So many scammers, and everybody is just, I get a little, not depressed, but it's amazing what the hard time I get. Oh, so you've got a winning method. And I'm like, 10 of them based on the casino's operating system. And, there are more counter strategies to take advantage of how the casino's trying to make. And they're just like, the mouth falls open and they're like, what? I thought you were going to say cash up front, or whatever. And people are still kind of like, oh, so you're the one non-scammer? No. Yeah. No. What are the odds? What are the odds? Talk about statistics.
That's when you respond with a bet.
Oh, yes. Well, then you have to kind of like, that's funny. But I don't want to bet across state lines. And,
I'll be there soon. Don't worry, John.
Yeah, sure. Yes, Jay. Moving to Ohio. Good luck with your move.
Thanks.
So I want to also ask you, besides the past, besides what you learned from me and how, what's the future hold for you? I know Ohio is part of that future. Did you want me to give you a quick rundown of Ohio, or have you looked at my Ohio slots page? I have one for every state.
I know you do, and I have not looked at the Ohio one yet, but I did look at the Nevada one after Vegas, of course, and it was interesting to know that they actually published data about the payouts and the revenue that they generate on them.
So a few days ago, I did a video. It's called it's a kind of a blue thumbnail with analytics written across it. If you're kind of like looking through the thumbnails.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it yet, but I was listening on the road trip here, some of the interviews. I just wanted to see how other players that taking your course are faring in slots in general. And so sounds like a lot of people are actually scamming the casino. So,
well, I talk about marketing terms. I'm not sure I like that as far as, well, no, John's not a scammer, but you can be. Wait, what? I'm trying to maintain a good relationship with casinos. So they don't kill me.
Not scamming, but
take advantage. Straight up, take advantage.
Take advantage of getting some sort of edge against the house, something. Because if you just flat bet or just
close your eyes, spin around, stick your finger out and open your eyes, and that's the machine you're going to play. Yeah, you can randomize your slots play, even though the casino doesn't have it random. Doesn't. Well, I'll use the term fully random. So you can just go into every casino that you ever go into, and might be lots of them, and play Lightning Link, the one in the middle, not the one on the end. And that's a way to randomize your performance. Not to play the winning machine, not to look at the hand pay that somebody just got in that machine and walked away, and you're like, well, was it once lightning striking, or is that a winning machine? Maybe I'll go play it, but most people don't. They let it sit there for like 3 days, and I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah. So before I met you, and now, right, before, my strategy was very timid bet play, right? I would always just minimum bet, hope for a bonus, and that was it,
Well, you might have been onto something there. I've seen maximum bets, and I don't grow my bankroll, but I do grow my bankroll in minimum bets, and that's something I'm sort of looking into to see how widespread that is, or if it was, like I said, a casino by casino thing. So no looking down on that whatsoever.
Oh, but I found, right, by doing minimum flat bet on every game I played, the house always wins. You have a play style similar to that.
Well, if you don't play when there's a noisy environment, and it wasn't 5 minutes ago, if you don't play the highly visible machines, if you can make yourself have an average outcome.
Yeah. And that was not throwing in the extra, where the machines are located.
Yeah.
If it's near a holiday.
Obviously.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
So
my strategies. That's like without my strategies.
Yeah. And so since then, I've started to learn that even changing your bet, whether higher or lower, like let's say you normally spin for $1, changing your bet for me has a lot of times changed the hit frequency of the machine that I'm playing too. So I've noticed that bet size, or even a change in bet, can actually affect the hit frequency of them.
Now, I'm trying to anticipate questions from my podcast listener, and they would, I think, like to know, how did you change it? Because, no, hang on. You can change your bet by changing the number of credits, and you can change your bet by changing to another denomination on a multi-denominational machine. So which one was it? Also, which casino did you see this in? Because it's a casino by casino thing. Sorry, all these questions.
Okay, so the denomination part, yes, as I mentioned, I play online, right? So there are things called currency pairs. If you're playing in crypto casinos or fiat casinos, there's often a US dollar tied to whatever currency you're playing in. Okay?
Sure, it gets a little bit complicated. Let's not explain to everybody right now.
So with the provable fairness, if you're not hitting on a certain currency pair, by changing your currency pair, you're changing your seed and the outcome of the games. So that was one way.
Well, you don't necessarily making it better or necessarily making it worse. You are changing.
Different.
And if you are losing, then the change is probably going to be to improve it, because you can't go any further down than not winning ever. So this is all statistics. Mm-hmm. But we can do that on slot machines at casinos that do this by taking our card out and taking our money out, and then if it gives the casino the opportunity to change, and I'm finding that's something that's kind of going away, where now they just do it when you play or on the hour. But if you do this because you're not winning, then it can only be as bad or better. Yes. But if you, right, and that's what you're talking about. But the other thing to avoid is, wow, I'm winning all the time. Well, I have my suspicions about players' cards, so I'm going to take that out, and then I run out of money, and I wait around for like 30 seconds, pulling out another 20 before I put it back in, and it resets. from being the best machine you've ever played. And it's like, well, it's either going to be the best machine you ever played or it's going to be less than that. Why did you let it reset? And so, yes, if you're not winning, there's things you can do. But if you are winning, don't do anything.
Don't do anything. And that's just it. If you're not winning, which is what you don't want to do, you have to do something different, whether it's the game, the bet.
And if it's provable, to change the odds, like on online slots of that particular variety in that particular situation, if you know your online casino well and what they provide and what you can do to change it when you have low odds, when you're not winning, provably, then use it.
Right. And then the other thing was the bet size. Like if let's say I'm playing a game, nothing in particular, but I just change the bet, whether it's up or down, it doesn't matter.
Now, the first time was changing the denomination, and you saw in the online gaming casino process where that would change something, and you hope for the better, but it because it really couldn't get worse. And now you're saying changing the bet size, and it may not, in casinos, that's credits.
Right. So in the real casino, you could just change the amount of credits you're paying per line, right?
Or denomination. That's the two different things.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So we talked about denomination changes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you talking about a third thing that's only available on online casinos?
No, this would just be like, let's say you're spending $1. Well, then you would reduce it to 80 cents or 60 cents or up the opposite way. And then try however many test spins you're going to do.
This might be one of those concept changes to explain to people about online casinos where how much you bet is kind of like not what you find in casinos exactly.
Well, I did this in Fallon on my way to Ohio, and it actually kind of worked. I don't know why it worked, but it worked because I was not doing anything on, my normal $1 bet. And I just said, hey, you know what? Screw it. Let's just try a couple fives. And it just went crazy after that.
If it's, so whatever it was that you did, if you get a repeatable result, figure it out later. There's a lot of people who are like, well, if I figure out everything to know about the computer, it would take too many years. And I'm like, if you're winning, please don't let me interrupt. If you want to try to you're winning, but you want to get out of the casino more often with your cash or with your winnings, we can work on that part, but don't let me interrupt that first part, the part where you win. let me help you stop going on days you lose. But for goodness sakes, keep on going on days you win.
Right. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just my suspicion and some luck, or maybe I'm onto something. I'm not sure which. So we'll have to try it out.
If it's repeatable and you make money, that's how you know. You sound like you have good instincts, that you're reading the rules and thinking about how I might use them to, you might use them to your benefit. And that's what we're all trying to do. Now, there's a few things I've found that as counter strategies to casino applications. For online, there's only one big one, which is if they open in a new gaming jurisdiction, it's that's when they're trying to establish themselves. They're trying to get everybody to play. They've told their investors, hey, we're going to have to make sure people win for a little while, a month or a year, just to hook them. Because you can see my interview at professorslots.com/ABC27 about Harrisburg, Pennsylvania's Penn National, and how it's all isolated in that part of Pennsylvania instead of Philadelphia, which has a bunch of casinos. And their best return was the year they opened. And it hasn't been that good since. And that's, Cincinnati, that's casinos that I'm starting to go back many years, and you can see that in Delaware. And just the way they set themselves up to be successful and get everybody hooked because, hey, 6 months ago before they started building, that was a cornfield. None of us know anything about slots, right? Right. And that's a brick and mortar casino. But in online gaming, like in Michigan, is it over? Because if we can get people to start playing online games and they win, that has first impressions. That has a long-term effect. And how many years would they have to lose for them to stop? Because that first year is such fantastic memories. So, is it repeatable? How long is it repeatable? And so if you found something, I want to give you confidence to check it and maybe go careful. And, that could be how you win. And then write me an article so I can tell everybody.
I'd love to. It's funny because like nothing is 100% or guaranteed in gambling, right?
Nothing's 100% on any paycheck. I was laid off,
Right. So
surprise!
if you try one thing, it's not working, and you try something else, then maybe it's just time to get the heck out of there.
Sure. Why not recoup and debrief and make a decision? I think we're getting closer to understanding how I put it is the levers and the buttons and the levers, that we use to play slots. It almost kind of works. It's better, engineering where you understand how to respond to various stimuli and do well to be a success at your business, at your job, whatever, because there's so many things that you need to learn. And you get bored if you know 100% of them. You get scared if you only know 50% of them. And they say the sweet spot is right around 80%.
Yeah.
And if we're getting closer to that for understanding casinos, because we look back, they're kind enough to provide 20 years of history, and we go, okay, let me put a little pin mark here where they changed ownership and now it's different, and it's not that hard. It's not that, you might need a PhD to do the analysis, but not to repeat the analysis you find on my website. And so I just think that the mystery is becoming less, and that in 5 years, where will we be?
I'm not sure. We'll see. Only time will tell.
Sure. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
There was one more thing. So I noticed too, while I was in Vegas, that none of the slot machines have any games where you can actually pay to buy bonus rounds of a certain game like they do. That's actually really common in online.
So so there is a feature which you may or may not be mentioning or thinking that it is. So in a casino slot machine, you can make a certain number of credits bet or push a certain button, usually costing money, as you said, which would allow the activation of certain kinds of bonus rounds.
Not the activation, but it would activate the bonus round. And some slots have, minimum bonus or like super bonus, depending on the number of scatters. Let's say if it's a scatter feature.
Okay.
Right.
Now this is a natural consequence because you could make a $40 bet and win $5.
This is true. You can, or you can make zero in some cases even.
Yeah, and that's you're paying for a feature, and it doesn't mean you're paying to win. No, yeah, that makes perfect business sense for them to do that.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that the real brick and mortar businesses haven't figured out that people this is a thing in the online communities. Doing bonus buys.
I have to say that the slot manufacturers that provide slot machines to businesses are the same ones that provide the games to online communities. They do know this. If they're not doing it, it's because it's prohibited.
I know that.
So do you find this on the reputable online casinos?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
However, I know in the UK specifically that this is prohibited.
Yeah. Yeah. There might be concerns to do that in the brick and mortar casinos. And like I said, there are some concerns about popularity in one is not the popularity in another. I wonder if there's test cases. I can see that sort of being grossly misunderstood by the player. Oh, I will definitely get like it has been grossly misunderstood by the player. Hey, I asked for bonus rounds and I got them, but I meant money. And then the slot manufacturers is like, but you didn't say money.
Right. Well, normally in the online ones, it's usually 100 times your bet. So let's say it's 20-cent spin. It would cost you $20 for the 10 free spins. They're not free.
Okay.
But then it enables the bonus feature for a 20-cent bet size.
And makes them $19.80 more. And why wouldn't they offer that? Sure. If people enjoy bonus rounds that much, they would want to be able to pay for them and get them. Yeah. But real fast, they're going to be like, what the heck?
Yeah, they can be pretty bad sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes nothing back. Yeah.
Well, I will think about it and see if I can come up with a counter strategy of their attempt to manipulate people. But there's a whole field of online slots. There's a whole field of online slots where, some year I'll dig into that once we've got things established on the casino side.
Yeah. Well, it's just something fun to do. I like to do it with my friends. Sometimes we'll just say,
yeah, I can appreciate that. It's an online community and do it together. And sure, that's the whole where the idea came from for my video on online slots called Bank the Bonus, which, they weren't paying for bonuses, but anyway, it's a modification of the 5 spin method. And it's people in trailer parks around Vancouver, Canada, we're all kind of getting together virtually to, and pooling their money and watching themselves play slots online. And there's some markets for that.
Well, and the big reason why I am mostly an online guy is because of COVID, kind of put a damper on casinos for a long time. So,
yeah, sure. Yeah, I did live streams all through that time period, and my membership grew.
Yeah.
Well, I can't go to the casino. What else you got? And hey, meet with me online. We'll talk about casinos.
Yeah.
Scary time. Scary time. We're all like, are they ever going to open again? And then you had the YouTube response, which was if you use the word pandemic, we will do certain things to your income, like turn it down if you use that word. And so you had to not use that word. And I don't know if it's still in effect, but
yeah, the YouTube algorithm is strange to say the least.
No, it is. I'm sorry. I've looked into it. It helps if you understand there's about 8 different algorithms. And if you want to talk about where to get good insights into how the YouTube, it's almost like an economy. It's almost like an ecosystem. If you want where I get my references from, it's not a mystery. And I wish you well on your move if you haven't yet, or have you?
I'm close. I'm close. I've just been driving, and I was stuck in Wyoming in the mountains for like 10 hours.
Oh, no, that's terrible. Oh, no, so, you were on the road? Not.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Man, I'm at a friend's house who lives here in Iowa. So I'm just stretching my legs. I'll be back on the road tomorrow.
Where about in Iowa? I lived in Iowa for 10 years. What?
Sioux City?
Sioux City. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sioux City is famous for a plane crash. It was the origin of my PhD. The research area that I have for my PhD had an event that took place, which led to huge improvements in flight safety, in jet engine safety. And it established all kinds of research centers and research groups and organizations. So if you go to Wikipedia and look up Sioux City, I forget the flight number. Bob Dylan made a song about it. You're in Sioux City. I'm getting shivers. Maybe you can go visit the cornfield, and see the memorial or something like that.
Would you like me to?
No. I've seen the pictures, and I got a PhD with it, so I think I did what I wanted to do. Bob Dylan. There's multiple movies. There's pop culture. There's all these things that came out of it, and it's the reason why airplanes are so safe these days is because of that event. And feel free to go look at the Wikipedia site for the Sioux City crash is what the keyword there. I find it fascinating. That's, like I said, I invested a lot of money in my and put the time into my doctorate for that sort of thing. That's what I was let go of as a aerospace engineer, is kind of some of the techniques that were used to understand what happened and why.
Right.
Yeah, a deep connection with me.
Good. That's good. I mean, a lot of people go through life and never get that. So good.
Well, I did try to find it. I went to my major professor and I said, what would you like to do? And I said, I want a job, but not right away. I want a degree that will last. And funny story. I'm now like 1 out of 6 people in the world who knows how to do this, but businesses have let go of their research groups because it costs too much money. And so there's only 5 companies in the world that I can work for to do this. And I worked at 2 of them, and 2 others are currently not hiring. And the 5th one is kind of like, well, we'll let you know. We have a guy who might retire. And I'm like, right. If I became a pharmacist, I could work anywhere. Talk about statistics. I'm
an IT professional myself, security to be specific, but there's work everywhere for me. It's just
yeah. Congratulations. I specialized myself out of a job.
Well,
yeah, we're not with a bank.
You got something better.
Yes. Okay. I will go take care of my dog. You take care. Thank you for the wonderful interview, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you, John.
All right. Bye. Improve your slots play with my 30 days to play slots smarter and win. You'll get lifetime access, a free copy of my book, Learning to Win, and spreadsheet templates for slots record keeping for income tax preparation purposes and gameplay analysis. Plus 1 month free membership to my Slots Enthusiast Growth Network, where you'll get a community support and accountability. 30 days to play slots smarter and win is discounted at 50% off for a $100 savings. Be sure to use that discount before it goes away. Visit ProfessorSlots.com/30 days to learn more about this well-received course, including a full description of its contents as well as testimonials. For your convenience, that website link is in the episode description. The next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a slots-related topic, along with a delightful conversation with another slots enthusiast in my online course. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.